Here is my Tech Talk and Beyond for the week ending November 1st, 2024. And this week's topic is exploring the dark web, myths versus reality. When you hear the words dark web, what comes to mind? If you're imagining shadowy figures in hooded cloaks, trading secrets like something out of a James Bond movie, you're not alone. The dark web has captured the public's imagination in a big way, thanks to pop culture and news stories. But like all things mysterious, the reality is often a lot less glamorous and a bit more messy. In this tutorial, we're going to peel back the digital curtain and separate the myths from the reality. By the end, you'll have a clearer picture of what the dark web really is, what it isn't, and why it's not the spooky, hacker-filled underworld you've been led to believe. So grab your flashlight because we're headed into the dark part of the internet, and let's dive in. Myth number 1: the dark web is synonymous with illegal activity. Reality. Yes, illegal stuff happens on the dark web. It's not exactly the land of rainbows and unicorns. You can find marketplaces selling drugs, weapons, stolen credit card information, and other nefarious things that are, super illegal. But here's the thing, not everything on the dark web is criminal. The dark web is simply a part of the internet that isn't indexed by search engines, like Google or Bing. It's a subset of the deep web, which includes anything behind a login screen, like your email or bank account. The dark web's anonymity does attract criminals, but it also provides a haven for whistleblowers, activists, journalists in oppressive regimes, and privacy-conscious people. Though while crime does happen, it's not the entire story. Example, think of it like a shady back alley. Sure, bad things can happen here, but not everyone who walks through is up to no good. Some folks are just taking a shortcut. Myth number 2: you can accidentally fall into the dark web. The reality. Sorry to disappoint, but you're not going to stumble into the dark web by clicking the wrong link while browsing at videos. Accessing the dark web requires deliberate action. You need a special browser called Tor, the Onion router, to access websites with Onion domains. These sites are intentionally hidden and only accessible through Tor's encryption layers, which is why they're not visible to your average internet user. So unless you're downloading Tor, configuring your settings, and actively seeking out dark web sites, you're staying squarely in the well-lit areas of the internet. Myth number 3: the dark web is for super hackers only. The reality. Movies like to show the dark web as a digital underworld where only elite hackers roam, speaking in code and cracking impossible cybersecurity puzzles. In reality, getting onto the dark web isn't all that difficult. If you can install a browser and type in a URL, congrats! You have all the hacking skills you need. The dark web might feel exclusive because it's hidden from the surface internet, but it's really just a different neighborhood online. That said, while getting on is easy, navigating safely is a whole different story. It's still full of sketchy places, and visiting the wrong corner can have real consequences. Think viruses, scams, or worse. So tread lightly. Pro tip: Just because you can go to a sketchy part of town doesn't mean you should. Same goes for the dark web. Myth number 4. Using the dark web means you're totally anonymous. The reality, Tor does give you anonymity to a certain extent. It hides your IP address and encrypts your traffic, so it's difficult to trace back to you. However, difficult does not mean impossible. If you're doing something shady on the dark web and think you're untouchable, newsflash, you're not. Law enforcement agencies have gotten very good at infiltrating dark web markets and identifying users. In fact, several high-profile dark web marketplaces, like Silk Road, have been shut down by authorities, leading to arrests of both sellers and buyers. So while Tor provides some anonymity, it's not a magical invisibility cloak. Be smart. Myth number 5. The dark web is massive. The reality. The dark web is often thought to be this enormous part of the internet, far larger than the surface web we all know and love. But in reality, the dark web is quite small. Estimates vary, but most experts agree it makes up less than 1% of the total internet. In contrast, the deep web, the stuff behind passwords, paywalls, etc., is much larger, making up about 90% of the internet. So while the dark web might loom large in our imaginations, it's actually just a tiny sliver of the internet. Conclusion. Tread carefully, but don't be afraid. The dark web isn't a mythological beast. It's a tool, one that can be used for good or bad, depending on how it's wielded. While it does harbor illegal activity, it also provides a refuge for people in need of anonymity and privacy. Like any tool, it's all about how it's used. Just remember, if you're thinking of checking it out, be cautious, be smart, and don't believe everything you see in the movies. And maybe, just maybe, stick to the surface internet for your cat videos. Happy, safe browsing. You'll find the video used in today's Tech Talk at the link listed. Did you know? Diet Coke's introduction was 96 years after that of its predecessor, Coca-Cola. The two colas were introduced in 1982 and 1886, respectively. Ancient Greek statues were painted with bright colors. The light stone color we associate with them today is a result of centuries of weathering stripping away the paint. Although not used consistently across the U.S., the National Fire Protection Association has recommended guidelines for fire hydrant colors, with specific colors designated for different water pressure levels for quick identification. Just thought you might like to know. Sometimes it is the simplest, seemingly most inane, most practical stuff that matters the most to someone. Thanks to Patty Duke. It's so nice to get flowers while you can still smell the fragrance. Thanks to Lena Horne. And that's a wrap for this week's Tech Talk and Beyond. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye, and thanks for reading, watching, and listening.